Hello everyone and welcome to Thyris YouTube channel. I am Shruti Valasa from India and I am a full stack web developer and a mentor, a course creator, newly turned tech speaker and a YouTuber. This is Thyris Web Development Tips and Tutorials channel where I keep launching videos which have tips and tutorials for mostly newbies into web development. Also, just recently started hosting webinars for again new people wanting to learn concepts which are related to web development. So today I am going to introduce to you about Git. Let me start sharing my screen. Right. So today we will learn what version control is, what is Git, and some basics of GitHub. Now, you might be entirely new to Git, or you might have some knowledge and you want to make it strong. Everything can happen right here. Just stay tuned for the next 40 to 45 minutes, and then at the end of it, I'll take some questions from your end. So, starting, what exactly is version control and why do we need version control? Now, I would love to start with examples. So what I will do is I'll start a new project. Now here is my desktop folder and I will create a new folder, new website. And let me open this up in Visual Studio. Open and new website, yes. And in this, I want to create a new file, which is index.html. Let me add the basic skeleton, and this is our new website. Now, I'm not using any version control. Like most of you who would start with web development, you would not be using anything like version control. And I will show you what exactly happens when you do this. Let's say you add a heading, all right? And then you add a paragraph, saying new paragraph. And let's say you add a very long paragraph, okay? I'm just typing this here, but let's suppose you have done this, you added a very long paragraph, and then you say, this is great, let me close this. And suddenly you feel, no, let me delete this long paragraph. I don't need this right now. I'm just talking about a paragraph, but imagine you might delete an entire section, an entire page or anything, and you close your, Visual Studio, and then you come back to it, right? You open recent, you come back to your website, and then suddenly realize, I needed that large paragraph. Why did I delete this? You can't undo, right? You can't go and click on undo because you have already closed it. It's another day and you really want back that paragraph. This is where version control helps you. It could, here I'm talking about just a paragraph. It could be entire files, entire features. Imagine when you're developing something very huge, a big project, and a lot of you are collaborating. All of this can be done easily using Git, which is what I will be introducing to you in this session today. So you have a clear idea of why you should use any version control system. Now let's talk about what is Git and why Git. Now Git is a version control system which helps you in a lot of things. I don't want to get into all the technical terms right now and make you feel a little overwhelmed. I'm just going to say that the problem that you just encountered right now of losing some files or losing some data because you didn't really maintain versions of it, or suddenly something was working and you introduced a bug in a later feature, in a later version. You want to go back to that place and see why everything was working there and why it's not working now. So Git handles all of it for you. And also, when you want to work in a team with other people working on the same project, how would you otherwise do it? You would probably work on 2 files, share it via email, then they work on it and then share it back. It's going to be very messy, right? How can you simultaneously work on the same project and still not override each other's code and still be able to merge it beautifully, right? Git takes care of all that, yes. There are other version control systems, but 80% of the people using version control today are using Git. Also, it's called a distributed version control system, means it's not centralized, it's not in one particular place. Your code is hosted somewhere, but it's also distributed. You can copy the entire code into your own local system, make all the edits that you want, and push it back. So you don't have to be constantly connected to a network or internet. You can work locally without any internet access, and once you're ready to push it to the central place or the server, you can do that. That is why Git is widely used, and you must have heard of GitHub as well, correct? Now, GitHub is that server where you can host a lot of projects, where most of the open source projects today are hosted. You can make contributions, you can make use of them, you can clone the, I'll tell you what clone is. You can clone those repositories and you can learn from them. So much can happen using GitHub. I'll also introduce that to you. I think you have a fair idea of why Git. So next, let's move on. Like any other tool or any other software or any other system, you need to install Git first in your system. I'm using Mac, so it's fairly easy, but it's not that hard in Windows as well. Now, I will not go through the entire installation process. There are few resources which I will be linking in the description below in one single Google Doc. So you can access all the resources from one document. But this will be that document. Now, if you want to see how to install Git on Windows, you can go to this particular link and it shows you what you're supposed to do. So first you have to go to this git-scm.com. This is the official website, and you can select Windows and download it. You will get the installer and then click next, 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 next. This is a beautiful blog which explains everything of what you need to select, what you don't have to select, and why, what are the options that you have to select, and everything. Just click next, 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 next until you are able to finish and you get something known as git bash. All right, that's like the command line for Git. Yes, you can use the normal command also in Windows, but git bash has a few more options which probably are more helpful. So you can directly open git bash and get started. So this is about Windows. About Mac, it's a little easier. You have multiple options. If you have something called Homebrew, which a lot of new people won't even have heard of it, it's easier to install. But otherwise, you can again go to the same official website and go to Mac and download the latest version. Again, click next, 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 and it will be installed. So I already have Git installed on my system. The way to check whether Git is really installed, you can type git and the version -- version. You will see that 2.29.2 is the version that I currently have installed. So now, what next? We have Git installed. Once you're able to see this, you know that Git is installed. What next? You need to understand some common terminologies of Git. What happens? What exactly is version control? Now, this particular website that you saw, right? There is just one file as of now. It can have multiple files, folders, and HTML files, JavaScript, CSS, so many other files in it. Now, when you start Git, when you initialize Git in this particular website, it creates something called a repository, which holds all the versions, all the previous versions of your code, right? Which hosts all of it. Let's see how to do that, how to initialize a repository. This is the very first command you're ever going to type. So first, let me move into the folder, which is desktop, and then new website. You make sure you are inside the folder. Oh, sorry. CD new website. I spelled it wrong. Yeah. Make sure you're within this folder wherever you want to start using Git. Now that I'm inside it, let me say git init. This is the command that you need to do. And that's it. It says initialized empty Git repository. You will actually not be able to see this if your hidden files and folders are not seen, but I have used this shortcut, which is shift command dot in Mac, and I'm able to see this was created. It was not there before, right? If you go inside the folder, there are lots of things. You will go mad. Don't go inside that folder. Don't ever touch this, and make sure you don't delete this also. Okay. If you delete this, everything is gone. Your entire set of versions is gone. Your code, the newest code remains, but all the previous versions stored are gone. Now, I would want to first demonstrate, how to start saving versions. Now, don't be under an impression that you start coding and everything gets saved. No, not everything can get saved. Only when you are ready that, okay, this feature is complete right now, or let's say this page is complete right now, and I am ready to put this up and save this particular version. Then you will have to do something, and Git saves that copy, saves a snapshot of those set of files at that point of time into one particular place. All right. So let me show you how that's done. For which there is one command if you need to know what exactly is the status of your repository right now. The command is git status. And if you see, don't worry if you don't understand any of this branch and commits and all of these untracked, nothing. What it's trying to say is that you have these two files. It's showing them in red because Git has no clue that you have made changes to this, and nothing is being able to, Git is not able to track anything at this point of time. So you will have to add these files using git add to start tracking them. Okay, let's say you're working on a file which you don't want Git to track yet. Don't use that. Don't track it. But we want index.html to be tracked, right? So we say git add index.html. Of course, now you can add individual files like this. You might have a lot of files. If you don't want to do that, you can even do git add star.html, where it adds all the HTML files. Or if you want to add everything that is there, all the changes that you've made so far, you just have to do dot. Once you do this, it doesn't say anything. That means it worked. If you do git status again, you will see these files in green now. It still says on branch master, no commits yet, but these two have been staged. That's the term used. They are into the staging environment now, from where these files are ready to be committed into a version. For that, you need to do git commit. So first we saw git init, git status, where we get to know what is the status of this. Then we used git add. Now we're using git commit. That means the files that are tracked right now, you're actually going to save a version of this. If you just type git commit and hit enter, you will enter into vim editor, which a lot of people get scared of, because you start typing anything, nothing happens. You'll have to type I first, and you enter insert mode. You see this? And only then you will be able to type something. Even then, it's very confusing. So to escape from this, to get out of this place, you have to click, you have to press escape and then :WQ. So just remember this, escape :WQ, hit enter, you're back to this place. And of course, it says aborting commit because you didn't give it any message. So it was expecting a message. That editor which you entered right now was expecting a message of what exactly you're committing to this version. So an easier way to do this, a faster one, is to say git commit -m. Now -m is an option, which is the message. And in double quotes, you can say my first commit. And then hit enter. You're not taken into that editor. It takes this as your commit message, and it says that 2 files have been changed. Now, if you do git status, you will see that, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Let me clear this whole thing. So now what has happened is, actually it doesn't make much of a difference because you are working on it and your index.html hasn't changed, nothing has changed. But now let me show you the actual reason why we are doing this. Let's add that paragraph which we added before. A really long para. And then I feel, okay, this is a version I would like to save. And I say git add, git commit, saying added a long para. This messages are very important to know what exactly you're doing, okay? And then now I go back and then I make some more changes, and let's say I delete this para, I save it, again I commit it, saying remove the long para. Okay, so this is what it is right now. And suddenly you realize you want back that para. Let's say we don't have the undo option because we've closed the editor and come back. Let's assume that. And now if you go back here, let me just split this so you can see both of them. Yeah, and now let me show you all the previous commits that we have done. You can see all the versions that you have saved so far by using git log. And you can see now, right? This is the latest. So it goes in reverse chronological order. It shows you the latest commit. And what is this alphanumerical number here, which is a unique ID associated to each commit, all right? Right now you can see that the head or the latest version, whatever that you're able to see, is at this particular commit. And the message is removed a long para. You can also see the author who has committed this, and the date at the timestamp of this. You can see all these 3 commits here that you have done from the beginning. If you don't want to see such a long one, imagine you have a lot of them and you want to just scroll through with just this line, you can do git log and hyphen one line. When you do this, you can see a smaller unique ID associated, and you can see what exactly each of these commits mean. Now, what we want to do is actually go back to this, correct? We by mistake removed a long para, but we want it back. Now, there are a lot of ways of doing this, reset and many such options, but I would want to show you one of the simpler options is you move the head to this commit, okay? So to this particular one. So copy this, unique ID and use a command called checkout. So I say git checkout and I paste this particular number and hit enter, and forget all of these. Don't check don't bother about the message right now, but you see here that our long para has come back. So you want to make any changes, you want to copy this, do whatever you want. And now if you type git log one line, you will see that the head is now at this state. And don't worry, you've actually not lost this also. It has created it's gone to another, the head has just moved to this. Even that is there. Now, I don't want to go into details because if this is probably your first introduction to Git and you will go crazy if you get into all of those details right now, but you're able to see that you can move back into different versions of Git, and Git is helpful even if you're not collaborating with other team members. Even if you're the only person working on the project, you just saw that how you are able to make use of this right now, correct? So let us now see what exactly GitHub is and how you can collaborate with other people. Now, this particular folder is in your system. What can you do? How can you probably collaborate with others? That's a question, correct? GitHub is a place that helps you do exactly that. Now, just have to go into github.com and sign in. Let me sign out and show you what it looks like. This is what you will be able to see. If you don't have an account at GitHub, you can create one. Since I have one, I will sign in. And I don't have a repository right now. When you start new, you will not have a repository. You can add your profile picture, your name, everything, and set it up. Now I want to create a repository and show you how to put all these files, this entire folder, into a repository on GitHub where you yourself can use it. Let's say you are logging into an you're wanting to work from a system and not your laptop, and you can start cloning this repository and work from two different devices. Or yeah, if you have a team, anything. So create repository. Here you need to give a repository name. So let me give the same thing as new website. This will be your username / new website. Description is optional, and you can choose whether you want to keep it public or private. Just, I think, even 8 months ago, using private for free accounts was not available. It was only available for paid accounts, but GitHub has now made it free, so you can even choose private. But I will leave it public as of now. And what's all these? Don't worry about any of that. I'll show you what it is. But first, just create repository. And once this is done, you will get a quick setup guide. Now we have done init, and I will tell you what exactly this readme.md is. But we have done most of this. And this command here says change the name master to main, but right now I will not go into any of that. For us right now, the name of our main branch is called master. I'll leave it at that for this moment to not complicate it more. What we need to do is copy this line here. Okay, git remote add origin, so that it knows where to send the code. Okay, I will clear this up. I will paste this line, git remote add origin. This is the place I want to send all my code to, is what I'm saying in this line. And I say enter. Okay, apparently it is set up. Now the next line I need to copy is git push. So I'm pushing all the files to this remote destination that I added, the name of which is origin. So you can change this to live, you can change this to GitHub, you can give any name that you want, which is useful for you. So copy this line and paste it here. Of course, change this to master if you haven't done this. Otherwise, you can keep it. Change this to master and hit enter. Here, actually, you will be asked for your username and password. And the moment you install Git, you will be asked to configure your email and name. I have included that in the document here. So these are the commands that you will have to use the moment you install Git. Since I had already done that, I didn't have to do. Otherwise, you will have to set your configuration, your email, and your name, the same email that is associated with GitHub. And then once you do push, or once you remote add, it will ask you for your username and password of Git. Once you enter that, you can see that all this has happened. That means all our code right now is in our repository on GitHub. Let's take a look. We have to just go to code. And yes, we have our index.html here. All right. Now, help people interested in this repository understand your project by adding a README. Let's say this is an open source project that you have put up on GitHub. This README file is the description of what exactly this project is. You can either click on add a README here, or I will show you how to do it from your local system itself. So here I want to create a new file and call it readme.md. Now this is a markdown file, and don't worry, it's not very complicated. I use hash and I say this is new website, which is, this is used for headline. I save it and I go and say git add, and you can see by typing its status that it has added readme.md. And then I say git commit added readme. I say git push, and let's say you're not currently on a branch. Okay, so use this name of remote branch. So I will just say master, and then you should know. Okay, we are not seeing this. All right. Okay, it's a pushed branch tip is behind its remote. All right. So what we can do is, I want to go back to master. So git checkout master. I hope this works. And then I want to do git status. Let me see what happens. Okay, great. Let's see if this works. Everything up to date is what it says, which means don't worry. I think I got into this issue because I did a checkout and I went into another branch and everything like that. But if you add a README file, it should actually appear here the way it is. Okay. So now coming back to how you can share this project with others. Now, by default, you will be the only person being, to contribute to this project. If you want to add contributors to this, you can go to settings and then, sorry, you have to go to the repository and then you can go to, oh, why am I confused about this? Yes, you can go to settings and you can add another person. I found this somewhere. Oh, sorry, I can Google it any moment. So let's say I want to add contributor to GitHub repo. Wow, awesome. So yeah, settings and manage access. That's what it is. Yeah, sorry. So manage access is where I click and then it says it's visible to everyone, but nobody will be able, only you can contribute to this repository. So I want to invite a collaborator. So you can invite your friends or anyone. If they are on GitHub, you can use their username, full name, email address. So I will invite my other email ID to this for collaboration. So I've said add this particular person. It says awaiting response. And I have received an email here, which I'm going to just click accept. And I will also be able to, contribute to this particular GitHub repository from this email ID. Now, if you want to see how that is done, I will give you a demo of that as well. So let's do that. I just want to accept this from my email and I haven't received the email. Great. Let's see that. Okay. So let me open a new window and let this, be in light mode. So I will be able to make out which is in light mode and which is in dark. Here, me, another person. Now, this is your team member who's wanting to collaborate with this project. So what they do is you will be giving this link to that person saying, this is the project, let's collaborate on this. And now your team member will go and click on clone. They have to copy this, okay? They'll be able to clone by copying this link here, and then they can say, they can create a new folder however they want. I'll go to desktop itself and then I'll say git clone, paste this link, and then if you want, optionally, you can also mention the name of the project that you want to keep it. So I'll make it new website copy. This is the name of the folder that I want to give and hit enter. So simple, git clone the link that you just copied, and optional is this new website, new project name. Now, if you check, and let me go to desktop. Yes, I have this new website copy, but this is another person. This is another system altogether, right? And you can see that open new website copy. You can see that the exact same index.html is there in that person's system as well. And to be able to contribute, he should first have received the email and should be able to access, be allowed to contribute to the repository. And he will also have this config. So let me go into that directory and then I'll say git config user.email, because otherwise the global configuration is the same email ID. You will not be able to make out anything. So I'm setting my email ID and my name as a different person. Okay, so now let's say I make changes. I can add a new file. I can say style.css and, add something into this. Okay. And I also, add another div or something. Okay. So now these are the changes done by your teammate, which is Shruti. So coming here, I do git add, git commit, added some styles. And then I say git push. Here you don't have to set an origin because you cloned it, so everything is linked. You only have to do git push and wait for it, and it's already happening. Let me go back and refresh. Yes. So you can see that style.css, index.html, everything is perfect. It's come here. Okay, you can see that 20 seconds ago, it's been updated. So two team members are collaborating on this, and you're able to see that. Now, let's say you want to take these changes. Somebody else has made changes. Your friend says, hey, I've already collaborated. Can you just take a look? So you have to do a git pull in order to take all those changes. Yes, there are different methods. You can use a branch, you can use checkout and multiple other things, but this is the simplest way of doing it. So you add, you commit, you push your changes, you pull your changes, but generally in this order. That is, you add, you commit. Now you don't know if the other person has made some changes. So you first pull those changes and then push. So now I haven't made any changes. So I say git pull and oh yeah. Yes. So now if you see this is new website copy, let me go back to new website. And you can see that styles.css is here and my index, changed index.html is also here. So you saw how two people can collaborate using Git so easily, so smoothly using GitHub. You can even make your, repository private and, you can add as many collaborators, really working on each of the features entirely remotely, which is why Git is so famous today, so widely used. And GitHub is like, if you have a resume as a developer, you should have a GitHub account. That's how popular it has become today. So going back to my presentation, installation is done, configuration is done. You saw most of these commands: git add, commit, checkout, clone, push, and pull. These are the most used ones. Of course, I didn't mention init because that's the only one time you do. These are the ones you keep doing over and over again, right? And then what to learn next. So I showed you the basic usage of it. What you have to learn next is, like I already mentioned, branch. Now, why are branches used? Let's say I am working on a login feature and another team person is probably working on some other authentication feature or some, he's just working on some static pages. Now, each person can work on different branches. We can branch the code, work on them separately, and then merge. So that's the next part that you see, how to merge branches into the main branch or the master branch. And there's something called rebase. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but apparently it's used in really huge teams. Then there's something called reset. It's always helpful to know what it is. And what is fork? Now, if you're very interested to contribute to open source, you need to know what fork is. Like I already showed you, when you create a repository, you will be the only person able to contribute to that project. But open source means a lot of other people are able to contribute. But you will be able to contribute only if you're a contributor, if the person has added you as a contributor. The other way of doing it is you can fork that repository. It works very similar to clone, but when you fork that repository, the same repository comes into your GitHub account and you can work on it offline the way you work with any repository. And then when you have created a feature, for that project, you can create a pull request. You can say that, hey, I've added this new feature for your project. Check out if this works. And if that person can really see, this is where they can see the pull requests. So right now there is nothing here, but if somebody creates a new pull request, you will be able to see it here, and you can merge them with your main branch, etc., etc. So a lot of these are the main two terms you need to know if you want to get into contributing to open source. So these are the things you need to learn next, and that's about it. If you, I'm open to questions right now, of course, but if you like to connect to me personally, you can go to my website, shrutivalasa.com. I'm most active on Twitter, so you can follow me at Shrutivalasa, or you can follow this channel and more updates at Thyrus Official. You're right now watching youtube.com/Thyrus, so subscribe if you already haven't, and I am ready to take your questions right now. I don't even know what questions you have, so I'll stop sharing. And great. So if any of you want to ask me something, this is the time. I will take some questions for 5 minutes maximum, and then we close this session. I hope it was great. I'm happy to even know some, appreciations of, how this session went for you so far. So Dheeraj says, yes, I use Git for all my work and post all my projects, even assignments on GitHub. So definitely, if you want to get started with your projects, Git is a must today, right? So Bernard says, I have a question. Yes, please, go ahead. And somebody else says, I started doing that recently. Yes. So somebody has a question. Meanwhile, it's do share this video ahead for people who have no idea what Git is and how to use version control. Because me, 9 years ago, I was not able to understand this concept. Somebody said, why don't you use Git if you're wanting to collaborate on this project? I was like, great, but how do I get started? I was so overwhelmed with all the resources available out there, with all the terminology and technical jargon, but I've tried to avoid most of that in this session. So if anybody is very, very new to this concept, do share this video ahead, and watch out for more webinars in the upcoming weeks, mostly on Tuesdays or Wednesdays weekly. You can also give a request of what kind of topic you want for the next webinar on Twitter. So if Bernard has typed his question, I could have probably solved it. Otherwise, probably you can connect to me offline. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this. Signing off. Do connect to me on Twitter and subscribe, and stay tuned to this channel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.